Hi to the camera. Yeah.
Chicken some beans.
Food growers. You need to be able to grow your own food.
Yes.
You need to be able to be self-sufficient and self-reliant.
Yes.
And if you wait until you become a teenager to start doing that, you're not going to enjoy it.
Right.
Then destroy nature. And therefore, it's important as early as possible for children to have a hands-on experience with things around.
Hi, we're back. It's been a while now, so I'm excited to share with you what the Children Community Health Club is up to this year. Stay tuned for that and a whole lot more. Bye now.
You good?
Yeah,
Feel better?
I feel relieved.
Okay.
Let me just show you guys what you need to have when you're traveling to the garden. You make sure you have your tissues,
Yes.
and make sure you have sanitizer. Oh boy, do I feel much better. But guess what? Those plants are going to grow a lot greener where I was just now. So I'm ready to go back and start gleaning some more.
You and cheese, you mean? Yeah.
I have to go back and start gleaning some more. So remember, ladies, always have your hand sanitizer and have some tissue with you. That way you can take a leak in the bush. That way you can take a leak in the bush when you need to take a leak in the bush. So there's nothing wrong with taking a leak in the bush. Okay. You'll get
Yes.
a video stopping and starting all the time.
Okay.
want that.
Say hi to the camera. Yeah.
Chicken some beans. Auntie Mary, look up please.
I am not photogenic. I
This say hi to the camera.
get a good.
Can you just say hi to the camera, stop being naughty? Say hi, shake. She's shy. Just tell me how important it is for persons to get back outdoors gardening.
Well, your question implies that people stop being outdoors and that they are indoors now. When I grew up, from the time I got up in the morning, it was outdoors. We had to go and milk the cow, sheep, or the goat that provided milk for the family.
And that was right here in Barbados.
Right here in Barbados, right here in Checkahall, St. Lucie. Then we had to, on Sundays, when we finished taking care of the animals and milking them and whatnot, then we took care of cleaning the pens, and then we got into the garden.
Yeah.
And we had to be self-sufficient because I was born shortly after the Second World War, and we had no money. And we had to plant our own stuff and plant our own canes and cut our own canes and take care of them. And so we grew up, myself, my brothers and my sisters, we grew up looking after ourselves, and the land was supposed to supply most of the needs of the family because we didn't have cash. And if your father wasn't working because times were hard like they are now, and they didn't have jobs, then the land was there. We planted corn, potatoes, edibles, yams, vegetables, tomatoes, you name it, peas, things that we needed to keep the family. And during what we call the dry season, we stored up some of the beans, the dry beans and whatnot. We stored them with dry corn and whatnot, so that in the off season we had beans. We soaked them overnight and cooked in the rice. We had corn that we used to parch corn, and then we, instead of popcorn, we had parched corn. And so those evenings, instead of going to bed hungry, we would get a pot and parch some corn. It was tough on the teeth, but it strengthened the teeth and the gums, the hard corn, and it kept you.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford more than one meal a day, and there was no KFC, there was no Chefette, there was none of these things, and so we had to make good and survive, and we're still surviving.
Yeah.
And those folk that you see now 100 years old, that's how they grow up.
So you would say that out of your garden, you had a good source of starch, fiber, carbohydrates. You had a good source of what you and protein of what you need from your garden alone.
Well, in those days we didn't talk about starch and protein and vitamins and all that kind of stuff. We talk about eating food. And so, and talk about eating fresh food.
Right.
And so, when we dig the potatoes, we cook potatoes, and you may have some dry saltfish you put on top of potatoes, or you have bananas, potatoes, bananas, or any of that stuff, and then you peel them, and you sat down there, and you ate them, and then you drank water, because we didn't have ice. We may have a bit of sugar. Sometimes you have what we call sweet water. It was just, it wasn't lemonade, because there was no lemon. And we went to bed, and we passed exams, and we survived until times got better. And so, right now my next birthday I'll be 80.
Praise God.
And but I think it is this background of what we ate, and then exercise. I never went to school by school bus. There were a few buses, and if there was a bus and you had to pay, we didn't have the money to pay, so I walked to school every day and ran home in the evening to get home on time to milk the cow.
Wow.
And to look for grass for it, and to do some weeding and take care of the garden before going to bed, or before going to study my lessons at the night.
So you had good exercise as well too.
So I didn't have to go to the gym because the whole land was the gym. You had to run behind the cow, the sheep got loose, you had to run behind the sheep, you had to run behind the chicken to catch it. And so you have to run from dogs or run the dogs. And so we got to exercise. We didn't have to go to the gym for exercise because we got it.
I'm going to ask you a question about
Ask me a question.
about children. How important it is for children to have this experience? Particularly, I know that technology has taken over the world, etc. But how is it still important for the children to be in touch with gardening, with agriculture, with nature, and doing this work to survive on this on the land?
Let me tell you something. One of the disappointing things is that we live in an environment in which we don't know the names of anything. Every bird is a bird. It's a black bird or white bird, a small bird. We don't know the names of them. We have trees around and we don't know the names of the trees. We can't identify anything that we have around us because we have not been trained to look at the things around us, appreciate them, preserve them, and understand what keeps them growing. We come to a table and we sit down and we don't even know where the food came from. We don't know how it began. You don't even know if you plant a bean, how it looks. And so if you send a youngster to a garden and say, well, clean that garden, he will put up everything. And I've had that experience with some folk who have come to help me work. They put up everything.
Wow.
The ones that I planted, that I wanted to grow, they pulled it out along with the weeds because they didn't know the difference between weed or plant.
Wow.
And so you need to know where your food comes from. You need to know how your food grows. You need to be able to grow your own food.
Yes.
You need to be able to be self-sufficient and self-reliant.
Yes.
And if you wait until you become a teenager to start doing that, you're not going to enjoy it.
Right.
You need to start from the time you start to explore.
Yeah.
And baby children start to explore 2 and 3 years old. They like doing things. They're not afraid of this or that. They're not afraid of centipedes. They're not afraid of ants. They're not afraid of dogs. They're not afraid. We teach the children how to be afraid.
Yeah.
And when they start being afraid, they're afraid of every little thing except a man or woman. And so we need to get out in nature and enjoy nature rather than destroy nature. And therefore, it's important as early as possible for children to have a hands-on experience with things around, the things in your garden. See how they grow, how God is able to take a simple little seed, and in that seed is a heart. And that heart, when it gets in the right environment, right nutrients, that heart can burst and grow into a big tree. Just like you and I have come from a little insignificant egg and sperm. When God has put the life in it, and when they come together, a man, a woman, a baby grows out of it. So nature teaches us about God and how God has put us here together and put things around us to keep us alive. Yeah. And so whatever we need around us to keep us alive is available. So we need to preserve it.
Thank you so much. You've been a big help, and I enjoyed working in the garden today. It was fun.
But come again, since you enjoyed it so much, come again soon.
I will indeed.
There will always be something around there to do.
Thank you.
Okay.
I sure had an amazing time there. Well, that's a wrap. Join me next time for much more updates and a whole lot more at the Children's Community Health Club. Bye now. Yep.
Oh, you're a strong
All in the
person.
hard states work.
Ah, this. Yeah.
Hey, Checker Hall, right? So we went to Checker Hall to check out things.
Yeah, that